Hello guys, we are going to be modeling the Museum and Archaeological Center. This is by Bernard Tschumi. We will use a bunch of Grasshopper components to get this design. We'll use a graph mapper component to get the spacing of these elements. And we're also going to be using the evaluate surface and surface closest point, that combination to get these geometries as well as the shift geometry. And also we will also get into a little bit of rendering with V-Ray for Grasshopper. So you can just see that this is a very helpful tool because you can just, instead of having to bake all your geometries and then assigning all the materials, you can just render straight from Grasshopper. And you can see I have applied some materials and I plopped in an HDRI that kind of looks like what's there. Okay, so we will start and let's get to work. So I am going to go and start a new file. I am adding this little floor plan that I found online. I'm kind of going at sort of figuring out how to do this design just based on looking at the images I found online, and this floor plan gives me a sense of scale that I can use. So let me see a door. Let's see what this measures. Oops. So this says 1012. Door is typically 900. I think it's close enough for color TV. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start with my circle, put a point in the middle, circle. I have my units in millimeters, so I want to just work with meters. So I'm going to make a panel slider. Because I'm dealing with such a large space, I want to multiply by my numbers, which are in millimeters. Multiplication. Okay, so this is 24,000 meters. Let's see, how tall is this building? Let me go and extrude this by Z. I'll do the same thing. So let's see. Yeah, that looks too big. Let me put this in rounding. Okay, so it looks like 15 meters. What is that? Let me just go to the calculator. Length, meters, feet. So 50 feet. So yeah, this looks kind of like a 4-story building. And then we have these brise soleils. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to say that this thing is maybe it's offset let's see, offset curve. Distance. So again, I'm working in millimeters. I want to use the multiplication. So that's 24 meters. So 5 meters, so that's approximately 5 feet, 15 feet. Okay, so then let me extrude this. Let me extrude it based on what dimension we see. So we're going to go from here, and it looks like it's going to go a little bit higher from the top of the deck. I'm going to still do my multiplications. And just to verify with you guys, let me just go to the options. Let's see. Units. Yeah, just to let you know, I am working in millimeters, so make sure you're doing that. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so it looks like it's going a little bit above that. So now we want to create this interesting spacing. So I am going to B-rep explode this item. I want to grab one of the edges. So I'm going to go to the list item, slider. There's 3 items, so as you know, I'll put 2 because everything starts on 0. So I have the line. So I want to create a graph mapper so I can create an interesting pattern. So I want to go to evaluate curve. I want to reparametrize this curve because basically when you reparametrize, when you're dealing with the coordinate system, it's only going from 0 to 1 as opposed to dealing with the actual distance. So then I'm going to go and put my graph mapper tool. I want to create a range. Now, it's a domain from 0 to 1, and it's splitting the items into 10 pieces. So this is what is occurring, but what's happening is that you're getting 11 units because it's always going from, the steps go from 0 to, because this domain is 0 to 1, 10 steps. So I need to use my expression editor and hit x minus 1. So now I have 10 numbers. So let me put graph type, let's say Bezier. Now the steps is something I need to edit because I don't think there's 10 spacing. So let me just start with 10. You can see that there is how many spacing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have to divide this by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then let me start cutting some planes. Let me go to vector. Oops. B-rep plane. Take this plane. I'm going to cut this geometry so we can just see more clearly how to, and let me do a preview, custom preview. Okay, so I can see that. So let me, oops. Okay, so then I'm going to sort them by the Z component. The values should be the curves. I'll go to endpoints, and let me also just add. So I want to carry this point list. Okay, and voila! You saw. Now you see that the edges are all basically numeric good basically. So it's okay. So I wanna take this edge. I want to start building my geometries and starting from the bottom to the top. I'm just gonna make a series of the brise soleils. I'm not going to try to get all exact, but just to show you the concept behind doing this sort of design. So I am going to start with the bottom curve. So I B-repped it here. So let me get the list. Okay, so the bottom is right here. So the curves. Okay, so it's flattened. So I'm going to go to list item. That's 0. And then this list item, I'm going to divide the curve, count, slider, let me divide it by distance. Divide distance. So I want to get a slider. I want to make the maximum distance, maybe 2 feet, so 600. Okay, so it's thinking right now. Okay, so we're gonna end up with something like this. I would highly recommend messing around with the graph mapper because it sort of gets you into thinking about design more freely. Like you can think about when you're doing this sort of push and pulls, think of it as painting brushstrokes on a painting. So you can get that sort of artistic feel. So we're gonna stick with something like this, and we're gonna start making the brise soleils. So now these curves are all randomized. So I need to sort them out. So let me get the endpoints. I'll get my point list to see what my numbers are. My slider. Let me Okay, so you can see because I'm using the graph mapper, my curves are sort of randomizing on the surface. So I have to sort these out because this will make it easier for me to start analyzing the geometry. So deconstruct. Oops. No, oops, I want to go to the endpoints. I want to sort them by the Z. So the Z component, the keys, and then let me go to endpoints, point list. So the values, so let me go to end point. Oops, the keys. Okay, maybe the keys are the Z component and the values are a Okay, let's make this 1200. We're gonna space everything by a meter. Okay, by 1.2 meters. Oops. And then let's go this. Oops. And let's put a shift component. So okay, that looks right. I'm gonna copy this. The items. Okay. Oops, not this one. Yeah, so I'm going to copy this. This has 7 values, so I'm going to go use a slider. Put the number 6 because the numbers start from 0. Okay, so it's going to be this one. And then it's going to be the one on top. Okay, let's do a shift. Line. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll make this into a group. And we'll just start copying these. We'll make this a group. This will be 1 and 2. So this probably should go the other way. Yeah. We're just going to eyeball things. We're not going to be precise. I'm going to copy this, group it. So is it 2? It's 2 and 3. Let's reverse the shifting. Yep. So that's one group. Let's see. We're just gonna have this patterning. So this will be 3 and 4. And then I'll just switch this up. And then I'm going to copy it again. And then 4, 5. Yeah. And then I'm going to copy it again. Oops. I'm going to make this into a group. So it's at 5, so it's going to be 5 and 6. And then I'll just switch those out. And then I'm going to copy this again. So it starts at 6 and ends at 7. Oops. Oh, okay, whoops. So it's 6. And then, I have to go with the brep. So I have to get the brep element. Yeah, let me grab this. I have to get the top curve. So oops. Okay, let's do it. Let me just oops. Okay, so I had to reverse the numbers. I think I'm gonna have to shift this a little bit more. Oh, okay, so it's at 0. Okay, so let me see how many items I have. I have 150 items, so I want to make this at least maybe 125. I don't want to reduce it too much. So you can see I've removed 42 pieces, so I can start, getting these interesting patterns. So I'm going to reduce it probably maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to start making a solid union out of these items. Oops. I'm going to hold the shift key. I'm going to make these a solid item because they're intersecting items, and I will have a video on Boolean operations, and I'm going to make this into a B rep because I'm going to group these together. So now I have a definition that I'm going to just copy, just like I did with the previous example. And I want to make this into a group. I am going to go to my utilities. I'm going to write this surface. So what I am going to do is I know that I have to link these strings with these certain operations, and I know it has to link with this surface, so I'm going to do a series of copy and pastes, and you'll obviously have access to this definition so you can better understand it a little bit more. So let me copy and paste this. I'll have to copy and paste this how many times? We'll see. So the thing about Grasshopper that you have to always keep in mind is that it will get messy. That's just the nature of the program. But it will really help you get into a very good workflow. So you're going to basically do this this system a bunch of times. So I am going to okay, so now that we have all the sort of the trellis lines drawn, we're going to make them into solid pieces. So I am going to use the surface closest point and evaluate surface to get to that. So I want to use this surface, and I'm going to just make a surface component on this. And then I'm going to take each of these sections Let me just group this. Okay, so I'm gonna take these points in the first and surface closest point. So I'm taking this point right here, and I'm taking this surface. So then I'm going to go to evaluate surface. Going to take the UV point, take the surface right here, and then I'm going to do a line SDL. And it's going to go from the point. The direction is going to be normals. I'm going to get a slider. I'm going to put it into 1500. So maybe it'll extrude 5 feet. Let me put it in N. Okay, so you can see it's projecting off the surface, so I have to, so let me go to the expression editor, -x. And then here's the curve. I'm going to do a sweep. So let's see what our data says. So our data has this as a flattened condition. And this data has as a flattened condition. This is not gonna, so I'm gonna have to graph these items so that each item can get swept easily. So I am going to make this the rail. This is the section. So we have that. I'm going to offset this surface. Let me go with distance. So maybe the distance is 276. We have this curve and this curve. So I want to offset these curves to make the frame. Okay. Oops. I have to go there. And then the distance for both of them is going to be the same as nope, the distance is going to be the same as the line SDL distance. And then I'm going to loft them. Loft this distance. And then I'm going to flatten these. Wait, hold on, what's going on? Oh, whoops, these are not. Okay, so I want a loft. Let me flatten these. Maybe they are loft. Yeah, so they are. So then I'm gonna offset this surface. Should I do the same distance? Make it the same thickness. Let me go to the expression editor. Is it going? Yeah, -x. I'm going to go to loft. going to go to the relay, flatten, and then this. So now I have this. So then the next step I'm going to do is I want to do the random reduce component. So I'm going to take this list, slider. Actually, let me do a list length. Oops. I'm going to make this a 1600 numerical seed. Anyways, I am going to repeat these commands with each of these prompts. I think it's really important to know that that's part of the experience of using Grasshopper, is that you will create this command that works with this system, and then you'll just be applying to that. And a lot of that is sort of understanding where the commands go, and make sure to use the replay. I'm going to skip ahead to that point and we'll wrap this up. So my best strategy in terms of getting these ribs is obviously to basically erase all that I've done and just copy this portion numerous times, and then just change the indices here. So sometimes in Grasshopper, you'll have to, if you're repeating a function, it's best to find the best way to get that function, maybe erase what you did before and just repeat that. And then I'll just show you the result. Okay, and then voila. I just basically repeated those commands. It's still utilizing the surface closest point and evaluate surface. With this complete, you can just mess around with the random reduce to just mess around with the brise-soleils or the sun shaders. And you will have this definition in this lecture, so you can play around with it. I'm not going to go over how to make the curtain wall system, and I will do a separate lecture on how to render a Grasshopper definition. Thanks.